had a few patients with ALS over the years, and I can't think of a disease that's more devastating.
I've been a practicing neurologist for 15 years. It is the most tragic thing that you can imagine.
A normally functional brain is trapped inside an increasingly dysfunctional body.
Patients watch themselves lose their ability to move.
Over a relatively short period of time, people become paralyzed and are unable to carry out their lives and ultimately succumb to the disease.
The cause of the disease is not really understood.
140 or so years after the disease was first identified, there's really very little that we can provide patients. There's no cure.
I think ALS is the most devastating disease in a human being.
I think it was about 12 years ago when my sister was diagnosed with ALS. It began with just a little clumsiness. She would walk down the hall and she would actually fall into the wall and really didn't understand what that was. It moved extremely quickly. She first lost her ability to walk and then to move her arms and then to swallow, to speak, and ultimately was completely paralyzed. She was 50 years old when, actually it was close to her 50th birthday when she was diagnosed, and she died 3 years later.
We have to find a way to prevent or cure this disease.
I think one of the biggest impediments to ALS is the cost of developing some of the therapies.
To most companies over the past 20 years, ALS would be 10th, 20th on the list of diseases to study.
It's actually very difficult to assess over a short period of time whether a potential drug is helping, hurting, or doing nothing whatsoever.
We really couldn't get a readout. So you could go through this very expensive study and not know.
And the need for a way to make such an assessment is crucial in thinking about clinical trials for any drug.
Instead of doing a complete survival trial, which may cost, $10 million and take 3 or 4 years, in theory, with a good biomarker, one could complete a study in 3 or 4 months.
The Prize is a very interesting model.
It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, what you've done in the past. If you bring us the results we're looking for, you win the prize.
It sets a challenge before the research community, and many bright people are going to rise to that challenge.
The Prize4Life model, because it taps on the basic human desire to get something for free. Everybody jokes, well, maybe we win the million.
It's a way of getting very smart people that don't normally think about ALS to get involved in ALS.
We might have done it eventually, but it really was the spark that definitely sped up things.
It's accelerated by giving us animals to work with, deadlines to work against, and obviously it's nice to win a prize.
It has really ignited the work.
So one of the unique aspects of the incentive prize model is its ability to leverage external funding.
At the core, a prize model is not providing funding to come up with a solution. It's rewarding a solution. So the prize serves as an incentive for them to seek that funding.
For the Biomarker prize, we estimate that the teams competing spent in excess of $4 million to compete for a $1 million prize.
So you have an amplification of monies toward the solution, but you also have an amplification of awareness.
Because the people who are judging the prize are themselves the experts in the field, when a prize is awarded, it really is a sign of an imprimatur from the community that this is a breakthrough.
There are quite a few investigators around the world doing various studies using electrical impedance. But it hasn't reached the mainstream yet in the realm of neuromuscular disease. Having this prize, I think it certainly helped me understand how it could be used most effectively in ALS. It made me analyze and collect data somewhat differently than I might otherwise have done.
And so to be able to get a readout like this with fewer patients in a shorter period of time
in a non-invasive way at relatively low cost
has the potential to really catapult ALS to a frontline therapy to be studied.
So this is a very important advance, and I think is a real demonstration of the value of the strategy for Prize4Life.
Now that there is a way to assess whether a drug is working, now companies find it attractive, and so that $1 million, I think, has been multiplied already many times.
For me, I mean, I feel honored to have received this prize. I'm humbled by it, but the real success in my book is when it actually helps identify a treatment that really slows the progression or hopefully even stops it in its progress.
So I would say this is a time of incredible hope. We now have tools like a biomarker that we can use in a clinical trial.
We're poised to make great discoveries that can save lives.
The time is really ripe for a breakthrough in ALS. And one of the key sticking points, the things holding us back, is really funding.
Because without such funding, we can't ask the questions, we can't understand the disease in order to get a cure.
The traditional sources of funding, which is government, NIH funding, as well as foundation funding, have been significantly decreased.
And it's the private donors who create the discretionary funds that I think play that catalytic role in the most exciting ALS research.
ALS is one of the diseases that is screaming for a cure.
It's so critical right now to fund ALS research because we have the tools we need right now.
And if we could cure one disease in the next few years, ALS would have to be on one of the top of the list because it affects young people so severely in the prime of their life.
The challenges are many, but I think the promise is enormous.